I've never truly understood Shark Week. I remember tons of people getting overly excited about it back in the early 2010s, I think, but why? My friends always made it sound like it was the coolest thing ever. Like, it made me think, what, are they remaking like big motion picture movies from back in the day, like Blade Runner, but with shark actors? Like, what's the big deal? Because that would be absolutely bonkers, but also really cool. Hollywood, please go ahead and do that. And to this day, I've still never experienced Shark Week, but thankfully, Animal Crossing New Horizons has its own sort of shark season, so I can still get my fill of sharks, and we all know by now that fishing in Animal Crossing is something I live for. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life, and today we're going to teach you how to catch each and every shark available in Animal Crossing New Horizons. The saw shark, the hammerhead shark, the whale shark, and the great white shark. And before you ask, no, we won't be giving any tips on how to trip up a particular loan shark either. Whenever we make a new video like this, we always try to lump together a few rare fish that have similar catch conditions, so that way it raises the chances of catching something good when you're out and about fishing. And the best part about sharks in New Horizons is that they're not only easy to spot in the water, nearly all of them have the same catch conditions. Sharks can be found in the wide open seas that surround your island, from the months of June through September in the northern hemisphere and December through March in the southern hemisphere. The great white, hammerhead, and saw shark can only be caught in between 4 p.m. and 9 a.m., while the whale shark can be caught all day. Each of these sharks sell for a pretty hefty price as well, so if you manage to catch a few duplicates, you'll pull in a nice bit of bells. The hammerhead will net you 8K, the saw shark will net you 12, the whale shark 13, and the great white gets you the most at 15,000 bells. As we touched on lightly before, the shadow of a shark is also a dead giveaway that you've likely found yourself one, as the fin on the top of their body sticks straight up out of the water. So thankfully you won't have to worry about raising your mental catch counter of sea bass and horse mackerel any higher for this one. Another fish that comes around during this time of year is the ribbon eel, which also has a fairly distinct shadow and is honestly pretty cool looking. Make sure to snag one for your museum, but don't worry about catching every one you see, as they only sell for a measly 600 bells. I wish I would have known that before I caught like 6 of them. You may also encounter a strange little fish called the suckerfish, which I'm pretty sure my mom used to have one of these in her fish tank when I was a kid. It got to be so huge. It was so tiny when we first got it, but I guess that's what fish do. But in Animal Crossing, the suckerfish is available during this time of year as well, and also has a finned fish shadow like the sharks. The first time I caught one, it threw me off guard super hardcore. I thought I caught a shark that wasn't on my list. Like, what is this? They also sell for a fairly average amount of 1,500 bells, so not a whole lot, but definitely better than the ribbon eel. The main trick to catching any rare fish, or really any fish that you're looking for, is by using fish bait, which can be crafted with the manila clams you find on the beach, and it should take you on average about 15 minutes to dig up and craft about 30 bait. However, before you head off down to the beach and start fishing, it'll be a good idea to pack along a few extra fishing rods and a few shovels in case either of them break on your shark quest. It's also not a bad idea to bring along a crafting table so you can craft up your bait on the beach, right there in front of their manila-flavored brothers and sisters. Manila, my favorite flavor. Like we mentioned before, the whale shark is the only shark that's available all day, whereas the others are restricted to being caught between 4 p.m. and 9 a.m. So we recommend trying to catch sharks in between that time, as it's better to put your efforts in then rather than another time. So once you have everything packed up, head down to the beach and get to digging up those clams. And every time we create a video like this, I'm extremely optimistic. But last time we tried catching fish like the golden trout and the mahi-mahi, which if you haven't seen those videos and you're still having trouble catching those fish, we'll drop some links in the description down below for those videos. I absolutely flew through my bait, and crafting bait is just such a drag, so I decided to get as much of it out of the way as possible, and I ended up crafting up 200 bait in hopes that this would be enough. Which sounds like overkill for some people. If you haven't seen the other videos, or if you haven't tried catching some of these rare fish, trust us, sometimes it just isn't enough. But the cool part about searching for sharks and hunting down manila clams is that you might even spot a shark fin shadow along the beach while you're digging up clams. So after you think you have enough bait, it's time to find a spot you're comfortable with and get to tossing out some bait. It's also important to note that you don't have to catch each fish that appears. If you see a fish shadow that doesn't have a fin, just toss a bit more bait into the water and a new fish shadow will replace it. Now at first I got a little nervous. I've ended up flying through around 20 bait without a single sign of a shark. It had me thinking, was it possible to catch sharks with fish bait? Are they too smart? Do they avoid the bait? Do they want to eat me instead? Because I'm not having that. But before I could think too hard about that, there it was, a shark shadow. I quickly tossed out my line, reeled it in, and bam! I caught the most expensive one already, a great white shark. And after about another 20 bait, I managed to nab another one, which also had me a little worried that that was going to be the only thing I was going to catch, because that's happened before. When I was hunting the golden trout, all I could catch were stringfish. I think I caught about 3 or 4 of those before I eventually caught the golden trout. And I've heard a lot of other people experience things like this. But this time, I really had nothing to be worried about. I reeled in a whale shark after 77 total bait, which is a fairly lucky number, I must say. And the hammerhead came after around 83 bait. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't even 100 bait in, and I had already caught 3 of the 4 fish that I needed. So far, this was a complete 180 in comparison to the last few fishing excursions that we went on. But I still had one left, the saw shark. And thankfully, I didn't have to wait much longer, as after 101 bait, I reeled in the final one. And you can bet it's going straight in my museum. Now, I'm not sure if I got extremely lucky this time around, or if sharks just spawn more frequently than other rare fish. But regardless, I will say it's a night and day experience, only having to focus on fish shadows with shark fins, versus trying to determine if a fish shadow seems like the right size for the fish you're desperately searching for. So at the end of all of this, just remember to use bait, look for the fins, fish during the right time of day, and don't give up, and you will catch those sharks. Feel free to let us know in the comments down below what brought you to watch this video about sharks in Animal Crossing. Are you still struggling to catch a certain one? Have you caught none of them? Or are you a master and have you caught all of them already? Be sure to let us know down below. And if you happen to have any tips that could help someone else who may be struggling to catch some of these fish puppies, or even just want to leave some good vibes, leave them down below. We could all use a bit of it right now. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, then why don't you go ahead and hammerhead that subscribe button and then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we release new videos. Thank you all so much for watching. We wish you the best of luck on your next fishing excursion. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life, and we will see you next time.